Welcome back, everybody. Two things before we get started. If you could like and subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated. Second thing is there are chapter markers all throughout the video to get to where you want to be. If there's something specific about the shoe that you want to see, just go ahead and look at the time codes in the description or the chapter markers on the timeline. Now, I feel like every sneaker collector, or as the public has labeled us, sneakerheads, have an origin story. You know, like every villain and every hero, we all have an origin story or a shoe that really ignited that passion, whether it be the design, the colorway, the color blocking, the player. You know, sometimes someone gravitated toward a shoe because of a specific athlete. For me, the Jordan 12 and on the other side, the Reebok Question were those two shoes that really ignited my love and my passion for sneakers, and eventually, in my adulthood, my ability to collect sneakers and eventually obtain what I would consider some of my grails. Now, the Question was obviously Allen Iverson's first signature shoe. It was a very, very beautiful shoe, very unique. It had some design cues from, I believe, the Jordan 11. But again, being from Philadelphia, that was a shoe that I just instantly fell in love with just because I really, really liked Allen Iverson as the basketball player. He just was an incredible athlete and kind of represented Philly for what it is, a hard-working town. Now, the Jordan 12, on the other hand, it was on another level. I loved the Jordan 12 from the very first time I saw it. I would see it on the feet of students at my school. I would ask them, what are those? And they would eventually tell me, obviously, they're Jordans, they're Jordans or Jordan 12. And, the biggest thing about the shoe was there was no logos on the shoe. So it wasn't immediately identifiable, this is a Jordan. You had to really know by the silhouette or just being someone who was a very observant person. For me, I didn't know what they were initially, and then eventually just seeing the shoe, getting Eastbay catalogs, I would just like obsess over the shoe. I would make, this is going to be weird, clay models of the shoe because I could never buy them. At my age, I was, I think, 12 or 13. But even then, I grew up poor, so we couldn't afford to buy a shoe that maybe I think cost $120, $130 at the time. It was just out of our budget. Obviously priorities were, just being able to live. But enough of that. The shoe, the Jordan 12 Cherry, retro this year, 2023. It last retroed 14 years ago in 2009. I was fortunate enough that one of my best friends gifted me a pair about 4 or 5 years ago, his 2009 version that had some sole separation, and basically gave them to me and said, if you want to get them re-glued, by all means, and just gave them to me. So I kept them in storage, but I was able to bring them out and really kind of take a look at the shoe, compare and contrast, and look at the differences. Big surprise though, there aren't any real big differences. Maybe, I know I was watching the wear testers comparison, and the collar of the shoe the collar height may be a little bit different, but in general, the shoe itself is very, very close to the 2009 version. And the 2009 version is very close to the 96, 97 version, which is to say, bravo to Jordan Brand and Nike for trying to keep it as close to the OG as possible. For those unaware, the Jordan 12 was modeled after the Japanese flag. So you have the lines and you have the mudguard that are supposed to mimic the Japanese flag, which I thought was a cool design inspiration. The upper of the shoe is a full grain leather upper, which is kind of very rare today. Obviously, it comes with a hefty price tag. $210 is what this shoe costs today. It is dropping on October 27th or October 28th in the US. Again, $210 US. It's a bit steep, but if you really, really love this shoe, or if this is a shoe you need to have, or your 2009 version is falling apart like mine, the 2023 version will actually, obviously, more than suffice. Now, in terms of the tech on the shoe, again, I want to say the shoe was ahead of its time, because today we have a lot of shoes that are utilizing Zoom Air or Zoom Strobel. This shoe utilizes a full-length Zoom Air. As you can see in my kind of blown-up version of the shoe, I took apart the 2009 version because, again, I had some sole separation. For those who are unaware, sole separation is when the glue deteriorates from age or heat, or just weather conditions, it separates from the upper of the shoe, exposing the innards. And in this case, it exposes the Phylon carrier and that like thick, full-length Zoom airbag. On the outsole of the shoe, you have the tried and true herringbone pattern pods on the forefoot and the heel. And then in the midsole, you see that exposed carbon fiber shank, which makes the shoe a bit stiff when you first wear it. But the more you break it in, the more you wear it, the better it fits and the better it feels, and the more propulsion you get from wearing the shoe if you decide to play basketball in it, which I wouldn't necessarily, dissuade you from it. I think this is a really, really good basketball shoe. It's very comfortable. That Zoom airbag is fantastic. So I think if someone wanted to play in these today, they very well could. There's not a whole lot of ventilation because, again, this is full grain leather upper. There is no real ventilation. So your feet are going to sweat. But either way, it's an extremely comfortable shoe, a very durable shoe, and it's a gorgeous looking shoe, if I might add. So look at that. One little detail that I did notice that is different from the 2009 version and is also different from the OG version is the eye stays at the very top near the collar of the shoe. This is a aluminum plated plastic. The 2009 version is a chrome plated plastic, all plastic throughout. And then the OG version, from the reviews I've read from Nightwing at Wear Testers, is that was completely metal. Just a small detail. I think, at least they went a little bit more quality on the 2023 version, but not quite the OG version. Overall, this shoe is beautiful. Again, this is probably one of my, I have to say, top 5 shoes. I know there's a lot of shoes that I love, but this is, when you think about a shoe that kind of gets you enamored, you're just enamored with a shoe, with a design, with a color. You kind of have a soft spot for that shoe. For me, it was like my white whale. I couldn't get it as a kid. It was a shoe that I just couldn't afford. My mom couldn't afford it. And so you kind of just obsess over it. I obsessed over it. I would earmark the East Bay catalogs, and with the hope that maybe one day I'd be able to buy it. That day never came until 2012, again, when my best friend Wing was able to secure a pair of the Jordan 12 playoffs for me. That was my very first pair of Jordan 12s, and I remember sitting there kind of in disbelief that I finally got a pair of Jordan 12s. It's a weird thing for people who don't understand that lifestyle, but for me it was just like a little bit of disbelief, a lot of just like happiness that I was able to see the shoe firsthand rather than seeing it secondhand as it passed me by. But either way, the shoe comes out in a few days. As of today's recording, I'm recording on October 26th. The shoe, I believe, is scheduled to drop on Saturday, the 28th of October. I got these as a shock drop on the Nike app, and I couldn't be more happy. Again, $210 is expensive. If you really, really want this shoe, I would suggest getting it because I think they did it right, especially with the leather quality and all the details. Again, the OG box. But again, it's hard to recommend someone spend $210. But again, if you're someone who's been wanting the Jordan 12 and the cherry colorway, it hasn't retroed since 2009. So it's been about 14 years since it last retroed. So highly recommend it. It's a beautiful shoe. Either way, if there's anything I missed or anything you want to know about the Jordan 12 Cherry, leave a comment. If you liked this video, like it. If you didn't like it, dislike it. But if you really, really liked it, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching, and you have a good day.